Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Hi, Vinith. Good evening. Hope I'm audible. We'll wait for some more people to join us. Sri Raj Karikot. Good evening. Renz and Tommy. J. Ren. Good evening. Is Joel there? Jibin Joseph. Yes. Sakir Yusuf. Surya. Good evening. We'll wait for some more time. Or should I start now? ഇപ്പോൾ സംസാരിച്ച് തുടങ്ങണോ? It's like, yeah, I am supposed to talk in English because it's an NSU program. Okay. Can I start? Vinith, can I start? Joel, Surya, can I start? Arsha Narayan. Okay. Maybe we'll start with all your permission. Today, it is actually a great privilege for me to talk about Gandhiji. Actually, I want to tell you that I'm not proficient enough to talk about Gandhiji, and I don't think any one of us. He is like an ocean. How will you understand an ocean? How will you try to understand such a person whom you cannot imagine that such a person was there amongst us as one of us? So it is very difficult. I haven't studied him in detail, but with a little bit of reading and trying to understand him. Mostly these days I've been reading about Gandhiji and his, the strategies that he adopted, especially going through Bipin Chandra's book, India Struggle for Independence. And when Surya asked me through Sudhir to talk about Gandhiji, I was a little bit anxious, like I was not sure of my ability to talk about him. But it is, I'm just trying to share with you some of my understandings about Gandhiji. I know it might be very immature and incorrect, and I've just started this journey, this political journey. I have just started, taking baby steps So if there is any mistake, if there is any immature understanding, if there is something which is not correct, please try to correct, and through a conversation we'll try to understand who Gandhi is, what does he mean to us, how should we imbibe his values, and how should he guide us in our journey, in our forward journey. So we'll start this conversation, but I'm convinced about the fact that this conversation, it is very, very important for all of us. The conversation that we are having today is very essential for all of us, essential for all of us Indians who really love the idea of India, who are really committed to this country, to the people of the country, and who are part of Indian National Congress, the political organization built on these great ideals. So when we are discussing this, I just request you to understand your relevance and your importance and the role that you have to play at a critical juncture in our history. We know what we are going through at this point in time. We are living in a country with a great tradition, with great value for pluralism, inclusion, diversity, secularism, democracy. But what is happening at present? We have to seriously think about it. Under the rule of a fascist regime, we are losing our original character. The country is losing its original character. Its core is being hurt. Its core is being destroyed. So all of us, we have a great responsibility. We have a great responsibility that we need to understand. That has to go deep within us. When you're part of a student movement, you're part of an organization that is spread across the country, we want to first, that thought has to register in our minds that it's a great responsibility. 2-3 days before, we took charge, all of the secretaries of Kerala Pradesh Congress Committee took charge, and that day while going to attend the function, I was listening to Jawaharlal Nehru's Tryst with Destiny speech. In that he was telling, our job is to wipe tears from every eye. As long as there is a tear left in one eye, a drop of tear left in one eye, it means that our job is not complete. We have to continue working. So for us, there is an immense responsibility. And it is not only about alleviating the suffering of people around us, people amongst us, but it is also to preserve what the country is. We need to first realize what is going through in our country at this point in time. Our democracy is hugely questioned. There is a severe assault on our democratic institutions. You know about the verdict that came day before. Our judiciary is losing its independence. All the democratic institutions that have been built are losing their credibility. They are made to lose their credibility. There is no freedom of expression. There has been complete corporatization of media. There has been complete corporatization of governance. There is no respect for opposition. There is no respect for political dignity and democratic values in political conduct. There is no regard for the masses. You know about the plight of migrant workers. You know about the agricultural bills that have been passed without any regard for parliamentary convention, without any regard for federalism, without any regard for farmers who comprise the majority of the country. So you need to understand what we are going through at this point in time. I talked about, maybe all of you are aware of what is happening, but I talked about this because we need to understand our huge responsibility. All of us, including you and me, we have a great responsibility to carry on the struggle. Carry on the struggle. Because what Gandhiji, Jawaharlal Nehru, and all other, today we have to remember Shastriji also, what all of them started, it is still incomplete. And it has been destroyed. So we have to continue the struggle. So your responsibility, my responsibility, it is so huge. At this point in time, as students, as the young generation, it is your responsibility, it is our responsibility to reclaim the country. So we need to understand. So when we are talking, we are having a conversation for 10 to 20 minutes. At this point in time, I request you to understand the gravity of the responsibility that we have taken, the gravity and seriousness of the journey that we have embarked upon. So, with that thought in mind, when we have a conversation, I really feel that you should benefit and I should benefit. It is just not a ritual, because on October 2nd we are having a conversation about Gandhiji. It is just as a ritual we have conducted a program and just we say bye and we leave. No, not that. Absolutely not. Gandhi has to come to our hearts. His idea should be there within your core. And that has to guide you. That has to lead you. That has to light a fire within you. That way you need to imbibe. And I'm very happy because today morning we had a function nearby in our village. They, standing in front of his photograph, paying homage to him. I could sense a rare feeling of energy that is within you, that makes you understand the immense responsibility of being part of politics, being part of a political worker, being part of the organization called the International Congress. So with that thought in mind, I really, really deeply wish that the conversation that we are going to have would have an impact on each one of us. I'm just learning about Gandhiji. You cannot learn him. You cannot claim to. I've just started to read. For this conversation, I've tried to read whatever I knew within my limits. I've listened to Guha's, Ramchandra Guha's speeches, Karasheri Maharsh's speeches, and some of my friends, Benu, Shobhan, etc. They've helped me. They've given me inputs. So with this understanding, I would like to talk to you about Gandhi that I have understood. First, Gandhi as a person. Just think about him. The originality of the thought. I think it was in today's Hindu. He was an original thinker and a political strategist. He was not a saint. What do you think about originality? I would like to combine it to the present situation. Within my limited understanding of politics and experience in that field, I've had a feeling that many of the youth, we have a very conventional idea of politics. If you're a politician, you have to be like this only. You have a very strict formula that you have to dress like this, you have to talk like this, you have to think like this. But it is not. Gandhiji had his original thought. He was true to his convictions. He believed in the truth that evolved within himself. He acted with conviction. I was reading that when he came to India in 1915. For a year, he did not comment on political issues. He traveled across the country. He waited and he studied properly without commenting on an issue. Proper homework was done. Proper understanding was done. And then he thought about it originally. So, original thinker. So, that originality was an essential part of Gandhi. When you approach politics, when you and me approach politics, I feel that original thought should be there. Because everybody has followed this particular path. Everybody does this thing. Everybody, this is the way everyone does. It doesn't mean that you have to be that way. You have to have your own idea of politics. Based on your convictions, your core values, what politics is. And see, I was just reading about the constructive program that he talked about. Somehow we have an idea. I think most of us misunderstand politics as getting into a power position. What? Can you think about the positions of power that Gandhiji held? Was he concerned about elections only? Think about that. What was his power? What was the moral force that he had? What was the impact that he had on people? So when you think about Gandhi, think about the originality of his thought, and the comprehensive, holistic view in which he considered politics. Because once, when I was talking about politics, somebody was telling me, you better be an activist, not a politician. Activism is not, politics is not the space for activism. Actually, we're mistaken. There is the combination. Gandhi was an activist, he was a social activist. There is the combination of activism in Gandhian thoughts and actions. You just see the constructive program of Gandhi, the social reform, the reform orientation. We think that for us, it's just getting into power as politics. Absolutely not. It is only one part of politics. We have to take up politics as a space where we have to bring in transformation. We have to bring in change. We have to question the status quo. We have to speak, we have to speak in powerful voices against the injustices, the entrenched hierarchical systems that are prevalent in the country. This is a country where Rohit Vemula wrote, "My birth was my fatal accident." You know what happened in UP. The caste system, the atrocities, the severity, the horrible nature of the caste system, the plight of human beings like us that they have to go through because they are born in a particular caste. And the plight of women. Think about these issues. For Gandhi, he fought fearlessly against untouchability. There are always differences of opinion regarding, there's a clash between, there is a perception that Gandhian thought and Ambedkar's ideas are different. Ambedkar wanted a completely revamp or transformation of the system, annihilation of that. Gandhiji had a different view. In a democracy, in a society, nobody is beyond criticism. You have to have a critical understanding of Gandhi. You may have agreements or disagreements, but you cannot deny the fact that he fought against untouchability. He tried to bring in women to the fold of International Congress, freedom struggle, mass movement. So we need to understand that politics is not just about power. Politics has a wider dimension, larger dimension. We have to focus on constructive program. All of us, including you and me, we have to fight against dowry. It's all there in the International Congress Constitution. We have to fight against social practices that are anti-human, that deny equal rights to everyone, be it Adivasis, be it Dalits, be it women, be it differently abled people, be it minorities, linguistic, sexual, or any kind of religious, any kind of minorities. We have to strongly fight against it. That should be the part of politics. We need to understand that from Gandhiji. And during the freedom struggle, there were passive and active phases. During the passive phases, Congress workers worked at the grassroots for education. For education, against untouchability, for women. So the constructive program should be an essential part of today. Also, it's very, very relevant. We have to work at the grassroots. We have to address social issues. We have to be reform oriented. We have to fight against dowry system. We have to fight against the prevailing misogyny in our society. We have to work for equal rights and equal treatment of women. We have to fight against the patriarchal system. We have to fight against all forms of suppression that deny equal right to any human being. That should be part of a politics. I think that's a great message that we have to. The first thing I was telling you was about original thinking. It is not the conventional path that everyone has set. You can find your own path where you walk on that path with deep conviction, being true to your core and being true to yourself. Second, a holistic idea of politics, where constructive work is as important as the political activity. But while he was doing that, he never neglected political organization. The subject that I handle sociology, in sociology we talk about the activities of a political party. There should be political communication. There should be political recruitment. The growth of organization is as important as taking up other activities. So Gandhi was a keen, he was an efficient, part of an organization. He could efficiently build the organization across the country. There were membership drives, there were enrollment drives, recruitment drives. He could do that efficiently using the card. I was reading somewhere that his ability was he could understand the strength of the masses. He could understand the strength of every worker at the grassroots level and could channelize that into a process where the organization could grow. Through that, we could achieve the greater task, the greater cause, the greater aim of emancipation of our country. So he added, through his activities, focusing on membership drive, fundraising. He was very good at that. Taking organization to the grassroots. International Congress grew. Mandalam committees, district committees, different parts of the country's PCCs were established. That was another great thing. And when you talk about political communication, he was one of, Ramchandra Guha speaks about him as he was having different careers. He was a writer, he was a prophet, he was a religious philosopher kind of a person. He was a politician. So different things, are being said about him. So Gandhi could lead. He was a very, very efficient political communicator. Think about, we didn't have, that time there was no messaging. There were no messaging media like, social media and all we have. That time, how effectively, through his publications, through his writings, I was reading that every day he used to write about 200 letters. And he used vernacular languages also very effectively. He could, take his message to the masses across the country. And that could, in a way, that could, lift them to a level of, thinking where they could think about India as a nation, India as a common identity from a platform. So that was very important. His political communication, his work for the organization. Also, at the same time, we have all heard about, Gandhi's passive resistance, importance of collective resistance, the value he gave to truth and non-violence. Sometimes, I have heard, social media, we say, when they aggressively attack us, when there is false news, when there is misinformation, how do you counter it? Tit for tat works. But non-violence is for the strong. You fight the British, you fought the British with the power of your strength of your non-violence, strength of your values in the same way. So he focused on your moral strength, your inner strength, the strength of your convictions, your fearlessness. When you have that, you're fearless. You may not have any weapon with you, but you're fearless. You have immense inner strength. With that strength, you fight your political opponent. And that political opponent is not your personal enemy. That is also very important in non-violence. You ideologically differ. You have differences of opinion. But at the same time, you respect that person as an individual. You question the action, you oppose the action, but at the same time, you give due regard and respect to the individual. That's also very important. So understanding non-violence, I don't know, people talk about Gandhism. I don't know how do you consider that as whether it is possible. But I am also convinced that we cannot replicate Gandhi's thoughts and ideas during this time because we live in a completely different era. Technologically, we have come so far. Our situations, socio-political situations are very different. But how do you incorporate? What do you understand? What was the pattern of his thought? What was the pattern of his activity? And how do you replicate that in the present situation? How do you apply that in the present situation? That is very, very important. So what I was trying to tell you is originality of thought, his conviction, being true to himself. And I tell about that itself also, it gives you immense power to tread a different path. to tread a less traveled path and chart out your own way with your deeper conviction and work for the country, work for the people. Second, the way he combined social reform, Gokhale, who was behind the servants of India society, they were so much focused on social reform, the holistic idea of politics, constructive programs. Then how he used, how he built the organization, how he expanded the organization, how he increased the membership drive, how he raised funds, how he communicated politically, how he strategized. There are different discussions on the suspension of non-cooperation movement after the Chauri Chaura incident. That was a master, political strategist in Gandhi who was working. We read a lot about these things. And now, everyone says his life was his message. Absolutely. That is something we find very difficult these days. Because I have seen, sometimes I get so upset about the fact that many of us, when we write something, we talk about, ending misogyny, we talk about ending casteism, we talk about being very secular. But when it comes to our personal lives, we are so much misogynistic, we are casteist. We think that, many of us, I don't know, due to the situations we live in, we have an idea that it is okay. We talk about all these things, but there is no need to practice. Not, absolutely not. There's no point in talking about these things if you're not able to practice. That honesty was the essence of his thought. That honesty was the essence of his life. Because he preached what he practiced. And there was complete transparency. And another thing that we need to understand is this process of continuous evolution. In the foreword to Hind Swaraj, he writes, if I have two conflicting views on one subject, you will understand that my second opinion is the one, because I've been continuously evolving. If you're able to convince me that my opinion is not right, I'll be able to change that. And he was open to always open to conversations, discussions, debate. That is something that we have to imbibe. We need to have debates and discussions. For example, what I'm telling you now, you may not be comfortable with many of my ideas. You should have the opportunity to come tell me directly, no, Jyoti, what you are saying is not right. I have a difference of opinion. And I should respect you for that. I should respect your freedom of expression, your ability, your right to disagree with me. That kind of a debate, discussion, differences. So it was Gandhi's life, his politics was a continuously evolving process. And all of us, I think we need to evolve. It's a journey. Every moment we are evolving. That evolution, continuous updation, continuous understanding, continuous knowledge is very important for us as human beings. For example, what I tell you, if you call me for a conversation on Gandhi after 1 month, I'll have completely different things to say. I might have evolved by then. So that continuous process of evolution has to happen for us. That is very, very important. Another thing, what Gandhi did as a person, the way he brought up a group of young leaders and how he treated people with whom he had difference of, Gandhi and Ambedkar had differences of opinion on many things, but when it came to the Constituent Assembly, what mattered was the ability of the person, not the talent of the person, the contribution that he could make for the party, make for the country, rather than Gandhi's personal equation with them. So reaching out to political opponents, reaching out to people who have ideologies different than you, who have differences of opinion with you. Nothing was personal. And the way a group of leaders were nurtured across the country. These are things that we need to learn. This is what I told you from my very limited understanding. Gandhi as a person, Gandhi as a politician, Gandhi as an organizational person, Gandhi as a leader, from within the purview of International Congress, what he did, and these same things could be applied today also. Very, very importantly, this could be applied. So you need to understand Gandhi so that we could, you know, uh, we could get those thought processes from him and apply it to the current situation. And when it comes to the larger picture, I was supposed to stop at 7:30. Can I continue for some more time, because I haven't come to the crucial areas? The second, the most important thing when it comes to our nation, I already told you that we are living in under a fascist regime. So here, how does Gandhi become relevant? The major threat that we face is to your identity. Actually, we are all, our identity, our national identity, the identity of every Indian is based on secular nationalism. What is a nation? A state has different parameters, but nation is a state of mind. It's a community feeling. It's a sense of belonging. So when you are your identity, you may have different identities. You have your caste identity, you have your religious identity, you have your regional identity, you have your linguistic identity. But when it comes to defining your Indianness, it is your secular identity. Secular nationalism defines your identity. And we are living in a society where secular nationalism has been dismissed or sidelined. Instead of that, religious nationalism or cultural nationalism become so prominent. The RSS regime at the center is trying to make the majority of the country think in such a way that they are made to believe that this thought is ingrained or injected to them that the only identity that matters for them is their religious identity. That is a huge threat to the social fabric of this nation. And we live in a time where caste identities and religious identities define people, not the fact that you are an Indian. You're either a Christian, Hindu, Muslim, you're a Dalit, you're an upper caste, you're a man or woman, your gender identity. These identities, your identities become more important than your identity as an Indian. At this point in time, it is very important that you understand how when Gandhiji came into picture, this was the kind of identity. People were either identifying with their caste or their religion. So from that point in time, he worked a lot. He educated them. He worked among them to create a feeling of nationalism, a national identity, the identity as an Indian. So that is very, very important. Now we have to work towards that among your friends, among your colleagues, among your families. As part of International Congress, all of us need to tell this, that all of us are Indians first. Next comes your other religious identities or any other identity. So we have to educate our country women and men about this. The people in our country about that. That is a primary task. How Gandhi reached that point where he could make Indians think as Indians. That is very important. That is a task that we have to do now. Second thing, we know, I would say this government is completely corporatized. Complete corporatization. Crony, Rahulji in his speech always talks about, the Prime Minister's crony capitalist friends. Corporatization of agriculture. You've seen how farm bills have been, they've made, President has given assent, and the the new legislations that have come, how detrimental they are to the interest of farmers by dismantling the APMC mechanism, Mandi mechanism, MSP prices. So in this situation, and government has no data on migrant workers, how migrant workers were, actually I would say they did not die, but they were killed due to the apathy of the government system. They have no data on health workers. How unplanned things, how do you implement things without planning? Either it's demonetization, GST, or an unplanned lockdown. There's so many issues. How Article 370 was, regarding Article 370, how the interest of people in Jammu and Kashmir was not taken into consideration. How building a temple becomes a priority of the government. How everyone accused a crime which was so clear, they get acquitted because there was no conspiracy, the government says, the court says. How all establishments are completely destroyed. All democratic institutions are destroyed. So it is very, very important for us to see that there is corporatization. Government doesn't work for the interest of the country. This government doesn't work to preserve the interest of the millions, the majority of the people in this country. At this time, Gandhian ideas. When corporatization happens, how do you resist? Gandhi's economic thoughts are very important. He focused on self-reliance, village republics, decentralization, his idea of development. I cannot combine whatever little thing, even though whatever I know are little thing, these things I don't know how to combine, summarize this and talk about all these things. His idea of development, he was against blindly, the environmental impact we are facing now because we blindly imitated the process of development, the pattern of development or the paradigm of development that the West followed. We should have an indigenous process of development. So Gandhian concept of development, for everyone there is enough according to your need but not your greed, in a consumerist society, in a completely corporatized society where utilitarian works, Gandhian values are so important for environment, for our own concept of development. For village republics, he wanted self-reliant villages. He wanted decision making to happen at the grassroots level. Thankfully we have introduced, during Rajiv Gandhi's time, we have introduced, not during Rajivji's time, but because of his initiative, Panchayati Raj system is prevalent in the country. So Gandhian ideas of political decentralization, decentralized decision making, village republics. Khadi was not only the uniform during Khadi movement, but it was a symbol of economic self-reliance and resistance to British. British imperialism. Colonialism was always, the part of British imperialism, their market expansion. There was an economic, Dadabhai, Navruji and all have, talked about detailed and brained in how it destroyed the Indian industries, traditional artifacts, everything. So Gandhian idea of economic self-reliance through Khadi was a symbol. So it was an idea of resistance. That is, when we agitate for the farmers, when we organize the farmers, that self-reliance, economic self-reliance in front of the corporates, that is something we have to really, really incorporate in today's world. Another thing, passive collective resistance. See, Gandhi, in front of the British Empire, which did not know what defeat or failure was, Gandhi stood for. He stood so strong. And now we have somewhere there's an apprehension. What will we do with the government? They have power, they have money, they have all institutions with them, they have media with them. How will we do? Gandhi had immense power in the potential, in the strength of people, common masses when they come together. Today, this is the power that should lead us. We have, we have to stand with the farmers of the country, Dalits of the country, tribals of the country, migrant workers of the country, people who work in the unorganized sector, people who are differently abled, women, people who need our, who need our compassion, who need our consideration, who need our empathy. We need to stand with those people in the country. And their strength, the minorities of the country, how we agitated against CAA, how people came on the streets against CAA, that strength, collective resistance, resistance based on your strength, indomitable willpower, your determination, that should work against the fascist government. We don't work for the annihilation of the fascist ideology there, but we cannot let them destroy this country. So that strength, inner strength, fearlessness, that confidence, determination, that should lead us. Today, I firmly believe that after 73 years of independence, this is the time for us to be part of the second independence struggle. Because with so much of sadness, I want to share with you. You all are aware of that. How the country is being destroyed, planned in a planned way, systematically, strategically, subtly, explicitly, implicitly, in all ways, they're destroying every institution that we've carefully built. So here Gandhian resistance should come. That should lead us. And also when we talk about politics, diversity and inclusion, these are very, very important. See how Congress was once considered to be an elite club. From the time young Western educated men, they deciding independence, there was a perception that independence was for that upper class. But for Gandhi made it a mass movement. They were peasants, they were working class people. And they were, and I was reading about how he supported religious reform, how Muslims came into the fold, all religions, how he supported Gurudwara reforms. How he supported different sections of the country. Today, that is very important for us. There are different agitations by different sections of society going on in different parts of the country. We have to bring them all together into one common fold. That can only be International Congress. A space for different ideas, different people's movement, different agitations. We have to represent all those things. It has to be a massive movement, a mass movement, where there is diversity and inclusion. It has to be inclusive. Different kinds of people, different thought processes. So that is very, very, very important. Mass is our strength. The common people of the country is our strength. So that is something that we have to learn from Gandhiji. I don't know. I know a very little. I know very little, and I have understood a very little about him. But when you start speaking, it's very difficult to stop also, because there is so much to talk about that person. Not only Gandhi, all other leaders. So when you are if I would like to conclude and summarize what I've been telling you. Gandhi, first thing, I don't think in a lifetime I'll be able to understand Gandhi or read what he has written and what he has done, analyze. It's like trying to measure an ocean. As a human being, I'm completely incapable of doing that. But through our journey ahead, he can be the companion that you trust, you keep in your heart, and that guides you, and with whom you have always continuous conversations. First thing, as a person, original thinker, a person who was true to himself, a person who believed in his convictions, who did not blindly follow what others said was right. He charted his own way based on his convictions, his truth, his courage. That is what each of us has to do. You think that this is the pattern, you have to be successful. And one thing, for him, politics was not a career. I think all of us need to understand that this is much more than a career. This is not a career. I don't know how, maybe there is a misunderstanding or misinterpretation of the word career. It is not a job, it is transformation. It is transformation that you aim at. We have to have the Gandhian idea of combining social activism, social reform with political activity. We have to think about the society, think about the people, think about the vision for the country. We have to think about transforming the social order. That is essential. That is something which we have to imbibe from Gandhiji. Third, his work as an organizational person, the way he built the party, the way he expanded the party, the way he encouraged political recruitment, the way he raised funds. Fourth, how he communicated, the way he continuously wrote. He wrote lectures and he was in continuous debates, the way he evolved. This is applicable to all of us. This has to be in part of our political lives. And how he nurtured efficient, deserving young leaders. And how did he evolve at consensus through dialogue with political opponents or people who had different ideas than him. This is very important, how his life, he lived what he preached. That is, I don't think how many of us are capable of that, how many will be capable of that. But we can try our own little ways. And today at this juncture where we have to start the second independence struggle. I don't know, somebody was telling me second independence struggle is a misnomer. I don't know what to tell, but this is a huge struggle. We have an immense responsibility. All of you listening to me and me who is talking here, we all have together, we have taken up a very, very mammoth task of reclaiming the country, rebuilding the country. So here, our important task is to build a national identity which has been which the fascist regime is trying to demolish, destroy that national identity, create identities based on religion and caste only. We have to work for that. We have to spread the message that all of us are Indians. First, our secular nationalist identity is very important. Second, when everything is being destroyed in the country, everything democratic, everything secular, that is very important. Gandhiji's respect for secularism. He was the one who firmly stood behind the idea of a democratic, not a Hindu Rajya. When Pakistan was formed, it was not Hindustan, not a Hindu Rajya, not a religious nation, but a democratic secular nation. So the importance he gave for linguistic pluralism, secularism. This is very, people have different ideas about how he combined religion with politics, whether it is a healthy tendency. But as far as I can understand, you need to place him in a particular historical point and in the scenario, the political and social scenario in which he lived. But when I was reading, I tried to understand, I think religion was more of an ethics. Politics was ethical for him. Politics was not, most of us perceive politics as power struggle and power manipulation. It was not. I think that kind of politics has to come back. That kind of politics has to happen. At the grassroots level, we have to work with constructive programs. And it is not about us winning positions, winning elections. It's not just merely about that. It is about standing up for the people, standing up for the country, and preserving the uniqueness of what India is, echoing the voices of millions in our country, crores of people in our country, whose voices are completely dismissed, whose voices are disregarded. The girl in Hathras, the farmers in different parts of the country. I don't know what to say. There is so much that each one of us has to do. I don't know, hope I talked some sense, I shared something, this is what I feel genuinely. I feel that this conversation has helped you in some ways. It's not just talking about Gandhi or listening to Gandhi or reading about Gandhi. It is about carrying that fire within you that he lit. That fire that is still, it's there. It's there as a light, as a guide. We cannot blindly imitate him. We have to use our own self and our own conviction. But carry that torch within you. Carry that fire within you. Carry that commitment within you. Carry the truth within you. Carry that conviction within you. Carry that determination within you. Carry that fearlessness within you. So that politics becomes transformation, personal transformation, societal transformation. And in our own little ways, our lives we become agents of change, and through us, so many of us benefit. I've just started this journey in the political sphere, and I am not the right person to talk much about it. I just try to understand. So if I told you anything which is immature and incorrect, please excuse me, and we'll have continuous conversations. Thank you for arranging this program. Sudhir, it's for asking me to do that. Think I did some justice to what I've been asked to talk about. And thank you so much on the birthday of Gandhiji. I don't know what to say. Let a little bit of Gandhi be there within you, within us, within me, within all of us. Let Nehru, a bit of Nehru be in us. And we will work in our own ways. Let us connect to that space. Let's take the country forward. We will do that. We have to do that. There is no other way for us. So thank you so much. Wish you all the very best. and please understand your potential, your role, the way you are going to transform this world. Thank you so much. Surya, organizers are there. Can I end this? You want to ask me something? Is there someone who wants to ask me something? Actually, I get emotional talking about, thinking about that period. I don't know. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling to be part of that organization that carries forward that legacy. That is such a rich legacy. Okay. I'll just wait for 2 more seconds, 2 more minutes to see whether somebody wants to share something or ask something. Okay. Then we'll meet up later. You continue the conversations among yourself. You read about Gandhi, you read about the current situation, you have your own understanding. You understand ideologically what Congress is, what we stand for, and fight for their principles deeply rooted in the values of this country. Hope we are all able to do that. We'll all learn together and contribute together in this wonderful, emancipating, enriching journey of reclaiming our nation. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.